Sorry, go.
The SaaS configuration side of it is, again, my own experience is what tripped me up here, because I, in my head, was like, this is basically going to be the same. And this is, I think, some of the ways that some of the marketers and the resellers pitch this is you just turn it on, you stick your logo on it, you choose your settings, and off you go. Actually, that's not entirely the truth. And there are a lot of things behind the scenes there that make this very different to selling digital products or any other kind of online service. One of the things, for instance, that we had to learn the very hard and expensive way is what features you have turned on or turned off, and what features particularly you maybe don't turn on until after a set of prerequisite stages. So as one example of many, for example, in a lot of the SaaS configurations, you have the opportunity to switch something on or off. So when someone signs up, signs in, logs in, they have all of these features available. Now, you may think, like I did, that's a great idea. Why hold anything back from anybody? We want them all to get straight stuck in, use the platform so that they get stuck as quickly as possible when they stay a subscriber. That makes logical sense. In some cases, wrong. Our biggest mistake at the beginning is that we turned on, get this is not going to be what you think it is, contacts. What do you mean, Sarah? We were allowing every single new customer to have full access to adding, uploading contacts, and being able to send email distribution blasts and SMSs. What happens here when you are the agency owner? For those of you who don't know, who are new to this world, when people send emails or any other consumable, use AI, send SMSs if they've connected a phone number, and a whole bunch of other things that you can turn on, you as the agency owner first have to pay for that customer's usage. Then you pass on the billing to that customer and hope they pay you back. This is how the model works. You have to pay for everyone's stuff and everyone's use, and then you claim the money back from them. So what was happening to us is we started to get noticed by, unfortunately, a lot of scammers, a lot of people who sign up to softwares with fake names, fake email addresses, and massive email lists of usually stolen contact databases. Why? So that they can mass spam whatever it is that they're selling, and then they disappear whenever they finally get found out. So here's what happened to us. We had a whole bunch of people signing up to the platform on the free trial, I might add, using fake credit card details to get through the sign up using a credit card wall. They were logging into the platform, uploading millions of contacts because we have unlimited contact feature. They were doing mass email blasts and then ditching and running. I got charged in year one alone $34,000 in people sending emails and SMS blasts from my platform that I had to pay for from my credit card, and then I couldn't rebill and recoup the funds back from the people who were doing that because they used fake credit cards and dumped and run, and it was a completely fake account. So this was an extremely painful lesson.
Big lesson learned, yeah.
Can you imagine year one of any business, despite the fact I already had a successful company, this one was new. So, you've started a brand new business that my other company basically had to fund a $34,000 loss on just in its first few months. So that thing there is something that I would never have known. No one taught me, and that literally wouldn't be something I could share with you today, and I hope you learn from, if it hadn't happened to me. So it's these kinds of things that I think when everyone out there is sharing how exciting, how lucrative, how massive running a tech or a SaaS business can be, which it can be, they're also not always sharing the truth and the reality behind the risks that you put yourself up to, and the challenges and the 24/7 hard work that also comes with it. If you're not prepared to take those risks on, maybe think twice or do some more research before you jump all in like I did in your fluffy socks and go, my thing's open, who wants to join it? We do have a whole bunch now of various verification steps that we've chosen to put into place for people now joining the platform, because like we began here, there's always going to be some bad eggs in any industry. And I think we have to accept the fact that as digital businesses grow, the digital world grows, half of the world doesn't yet have the internet. So we haven't even seen half of the problems that can come. We do have to make sure that whilst we are exposing ourselves enough to be seen and noticed, we also need to make sure that our defenses and our lines of protection are just as strong, if not stronger. So we have created multiple lines of defense now, including, yes, approving a setup, but also we don't allow certain features or functions to be turned on until somebody has physically in person, by that I mean on a screen, rocked up for an onboarding call, so that we can actually use that onboarding call not just to help and serve that individual in the success on our platform, but actually because behind the scenes for us, it's also an identity verification check. And what we found is if someone's a scammer or they're a fake account, they don't turn up for that onboarding call. So guess what? Those features that can cost us money or potentially cause cybersecurity issues, they don't get turned on. So that person basically can't do anything. They've got their hands tied and they have a useless account, essentially. So that there's a few processes that we've used like that do involve people being involved. But yes, certainly behind the scenes, we have obviously email verifications auto turned on. We have various added functionalities in Stripe that are actually doing checks on the credit card. Yeah. You've got all those kinds of softwares, that are going to be checking for you. Is this a stolen or fraudulent card or account? We've got then automated flags in place for us to actually pause accounts before people can access those, join an onboarding call, so that we can again do identity verification. So I strongly recommend that anyone who is going into this space or who's already in it, if you haven't experienced these issues, you absolutely will at some point. If you're getting noticed in the industry, you are going to become a potential vehicle for these kinds of nefarious players. Please make sure that you have spoken to a consultant or an experienced SaaS owner and asked them, what kind of security measures can we have in place to protect our business, not only from you taking on the costs of someone who is acting in a fraudulent manner, but also to protect your business from actually any form of litigation could come if your business, your platform, it's your company that's being used as the vehicle for illegal activity. You as the owner of that business are open to litigation if someone was to use your company to do something illegal. So you need to make sure that you have various insurances in place. You need to make sure you've got cybersecurity insurance in place. In a world today where, particularly if you're working in a global marketplace, is a very litigation focused environment. You're storing people's data, you're storing people's information, you're literally holding people's businesses in your hands. Ensuring that you have the infrastructure and the security in place of insurances should someone try to sue you for them deleting their own data, for them pressing a button, for them leaving their passwords open on a computer and getting cyber hacked. This is something that you are going to need to make sure that you can protect yourself against, whilst at the same time protecting your customers' businesses too. And this is the big grown-up side of the fun of come and start a SaaS company. It's so easy on this platform, right? You do have to speak to a grown-up and understand that there's all this other side of it too. So I don't want to scare anyone. We're here today to do real talk, right? We are both very experienced business owners, and yes, it's fun. Yes, it's lucrative. Yes, I do have a 7-figure business that I run barefoot in my spare bedroom on my riverside house by the beach. But we also are only still here because we know and understand the other side of business too. And I want everyone listening to this to not see this as fear-mongering, but to see this as your big brother and sister here, just giving you a heads up so that you can be prepared and not go through the painful, hard ways that people like Vit and I have gone through.
Yeah. And by the way, it doesn't stop there. There's more that you need to be aware of, right? There's things like your payment processing, right? Your Stripe, that's where everything happens, right? That's the most established one. Probably the better. They cost a lot more money, but it's pretty robust. But things like rebilling. If you don't properly educate your customers when they signing up, there are going to be fees. They're going to have to pay for every SMS, every phone call, every AI, every premium workflow action, every funnel AI. There's so many of these different things that you get charged for. You really want to make sure that customer understands it. You make it opt-in on the sign-up form so that they actually agree to it. Have a page like I've got. You can check it out, by the way. You're welcome to do standupfromthepark.com.au/fees, something like page like that explains to all your customers, hey, here's how much you're going to get charged when you sign up. As much as you can to avoid the thing where somebody signed up and then they didn't realize, and then they get charged and they're like, what is this? And then they dispute. And now you've effed. Because you have a thing where Stripe they have their own compliance with their boss, the finance industry, and so they have to comply. And so if they pick up that you've got some disputed transactions, and even though you might have a lot of good ones, but you just get a couple of bad ones in a short time frame, they will lock you down and they will hold all the money. I just spoke to somebody from Australia, another agency owner who does a lot of work with car dealerships and stuff. And 6 months they hold, I don't know, it was a good couple of $100K. They hold that money. And now you got a business, you got to pay your employees, but you can't touch that money. Stripe won't give it to you until you go through the process. So that's another one to be really aware of. So there's a lot.
It's a scary world when you're dealing with it. And I think a lot of business owners don't realize just how much we are at the mercy of the customers and of the users. And for a lot of us running usually SaaS, right, the software itself is usually low ticket and low cost. So your claims, if people are running any kind of dispute, saying just didn't want to pay this month, so I'm just going to dispute it in Stripe because I don't feel like paying my bill. The consequences on us is huge, and usually it's actually not worth running a dispute because of the payback dispute charges that come back on you anyway. So there are a lot of considerations you need to have there. And as you said, Vit, the biggest way to avoid that is through customer education, customer communication, and making sure that it is explicitly clear to your customer how they're going to be charged, and that you have created demonstrable evidence of multiple points at which you have clarified and made clear your fees and charges structure, including getting people to agree to terms and conditions when they sign up, sending a clickable link in their initial sign up registration email as well, so that if you do ever find yourselves in a dispute situation or in any kind of litigation around fees and charges, you can prove that at multiple points this person not only made it clear that they were aware and acknowledged and agreed to those terms and conditions, but also that they were consistently provided with access to that documentation. And so again, talking to a grown-up, getting them to review your onboarding process. Do I have that checkbox agreement terms there? Is there a place where we consistently link to those terms in their comms and emails, so that if you do find yourself there, and you will at some point, this isn't an if, it's inevitable, that you have those processes in place to say, see, Mr. Dispute Acknowledger or Mr. Court of Law, we have done everything we could as an organization to clearly articulate, demonstrate, and explain our pricing, and this person agreed to it, so that you hopefully don't find yourself in a situation that some of our colleagues in this industry have, that we've seen some of our friends, unfortunately, here, where they have lost access to their Stripe account, meaning they literally cannot receive any money at all from their entire agency because there was more than a couple of disputes within a certain period of time. It was very close. I think that's the thing particularly in SaaS, and I guess in any business in today's world, is it doesn't matter how successful we are right now. The truth is we are all one complaint away from being shut down. And this classic example, it wasn't even a complaint. We're all one problem away from potentially being shut down.